Well, California Governor Gavin Newsom signing a new state assembly bill into law that critics say will increase the number of trans athletes competing in women's sports. AB 749, now state law, sets up a commission to look into the, quote, need and potential for a centralized entity to improve access to and involvement in sports for all youth, regardless of race, sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. California Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones, a Republican, calling this a, quote, disguise to actually further cement allowing biological males to compete against young women and girls in youth sports. The author and supporters of AB 749 know that if they were up front and put forth a straightforward bill allowing biological males to compete against young women and girls, it would be easily defeated. In his own words, the governor has said men competing in women's sports is wildly unfair.
Would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. It is an issue of fairness.
So
it's deeply unfair.
Would you speak out against this young?
Deeply unfair. Meanwhile, one California Democrat running for governor tells Piers Morgan she fully supports having gender-neutral categories at the 2028 Summer Olympics.
I think transgender female athletes are women athletes, and they should be able to compete.
Really? So if you were governor of California, you would support biological males who identify as women competing in women's sport in the Olympics?
They are now identified as transgender female.
Why do you think we separate the sexes in the Olympics?
Well, because they do come with different attributes in terms of physicality.
I mean, whatever. John, you and I are Californians. Talk to me about what's going on. I thought Gavin Newsom was seeming to come around to the side of common sense and see how deeply unfair it is, and now this law is passed.
Yeah, common sense, I'm afraid, has nothing to do with California. Yeah. You don't live there anymore? How do I follow your path? I got to get out of this place. I mean, this is just another example of how wacky and over-the-top extreme left wing has taken over California government. I actually don't think a majority of Californians agree with this. They couldn't. So what's happening here, it seems to me, is that, and you just saw the clip there, Betty Yee, she's a representative of the Democratic Party establishment in California. Gavin Newsom wants to be the presidential candidate in the next election. They want to get through the progressive left-wing primaries that demand this kind of craziness. This is at a time when the Supreme Court right now is going to hear a case that I think will likely uphold states that say we have to keep the sexes apart for sports, that are going to prohibit biological men from competing against women and vice versa. So even while the Supreme Court and many states in the country are going to say that's constitutional legal, you have California trying to deny reality. I don't know what's next. I could see maybe California will tie weights now to feet of people when they have races so that people can't be too good and better than each other. That's the kind of thinking that goes on our left coast.
Yeah. Talk about drag on everything. Roseanne, I want to show, this is a father who driving home the point about what it means to have biological boys in girls' locker room there October 8th at a school board meeting. Let's watch.
And I'm about to show you guys how uncomfortable it is for these young girls.
Point of order. We've asked that we use...
Oh, so wait. They're covered. You feel uncomfortable? Because that's what these young girls feel like when a boy walks into the locker room and starts unchanging in front of them. Yeah, you feel uncomfortable, right? Feel uncomfortable, huh? That's what these young girls feel like every time a young boy changes in front of them.
And that's right. And finally, someone has the chutzpah to say it.
I know. Well, it's a very visual point when you see it in person. I mean, female athletes have been struggling for year after year to be represented, to get equal play. Now, finally, they're seeing some kind of headway. For example, if you look at the WNBA, it's on fire. The women's sport's on fire. They're finally getting the attention. They're getting a lot of people who respect them. They want equal pay. And now you're dealing with this. Where does it end? How is that fair to the women who are finally, after fighting all these years to be respected, to finally now say, okay, we're going to allow transgender to play on our team? Because eventually, you don't hear it the other way around, by the way. You don't hear about the transgender women on the men's team. It's not a problem. It's the other way around. And, you know, you keep encouraging this, they will take over the sport, or any sport.
Yeah.
Or any team.
Right. And to your point, it's not fair. I mean, even the governor acknowledged it. And Cheryl, so we saw, you know, that father, that very poignant, visceral moment. We saw recently a mother as well undressing outside of Sacramento, I believe, in front of the school board to their shock and horror and chagrin. And we're calling the cops and everything. She's like, this is the point I'm making. And I remind everyone that in the criminal code, if you show your genitals to a minor female, you are convicted of a felony. And somehow we're supposed to approve it and then bake it into state law? What is wrong with California?
Well, what is wrong with Gavin Newsom? Because if he does indeed kind of quietly reverse course after what he said, we saw him talking to Charlie Kirk in that clip, then he's wrong on with the electorate of California. Public Policy Institute of California, April 2025, 65% of likely voters, nearly half of them Democrats, they support transgender athletes required to play on sports teams that match their sex assigned at birth. Point one. Point two, that woman in the clip was talking about the Olympics. The Olympics has already decided that you have to play, you have to be a part of a team with the sex at birth. I'm not saying that very well, but anyway, so that's already been decided by the Olympic Committee because the Olympics is happening in the United States of America, and the Olympics is going to follow the laws of the United States of America.
You know who else is jumping in too? I want to play this. So Leah Thomas, you all remember her, the 2022 NCAA women's champion. Identifying as a woman. But last night she received the Voice of the Inspiration Award at Rainbow Labs Violet Visionary Award ceremony. But the point I want to drive home to you all is that the event was sponsored by the LA Dodgers and the LA Football Club. So it seems to now, ironically, be supported by professional franchises, Harris. That certainly, I think, if I strode out onto the field, I would probably be carted off as not being eligible. But for them somehow go ahead and ruin girl sports.
Yeah, I think Leah Thomas is a really good example, though, because all of this kind of, I mean, Leah Thomas wasn't the beginning of it all, but it's the reason why we know so much about what we know, right? And how Leah Thomas was listed below 400 when competing with other men, but then came out on top when competing with women. Like that was really our first dynamic show of that. I think two things are happening that are important. During our all-women town hall last November, right before the election with President Trump, the audience wanted to know, what are you going to do about it? So this was an issue that was a presidential election issue, too. What are you going to do about, you know, men and women's sports? He goes, well, I'm going to get rid of it. He kept his promise on that. He signed that executive order, and now the push to try to codify that. I don't know how that's going to play out in Congress. But what it gives Gavin Newsom is a point to push back on Trump. That was the other thing I was going to say. So it's not that complicated to figure out why he'd pick this issue. It's one that is really a 90-10 issue across the country. Yeah. But for Gavin, it might be a 100% issue for him in the sense that he needs to make a splash. He needs to prove that he's defending some people against Trump. But we just did a story yesterday, Emily, where the non-binary number of young kids in this country is going down, that the transgender conversations are changing a bit since the pandemic, that comfortability of saying, well, I belong to a group that might mutilate itself to become something different is changing now. I don't know if Gavin Newsom's timing is going to be right by the time he has to take on, for his job, the competitors.
One more reason to beat LA. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.